We're live. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 8th session of the International Leadership Conference 2021 with the theme, Perspective of Americas toward a Peaceful Reunification of Korea Peninsula. I am Victor Castillo. I'm a General Secretary of UPF Mexico, and I'm pleased to be your moderator today. So you are please welcome. Let me introduce what is IAED. IAED is the acronym of International Association for Peace and Economic Development. And this is one of the 8 peace-building associations created under the umbrella of the Universal Peace Federation, founded in 2005. Actually, UPF has a character of an NGO as a general consultative status at the United Nations in Economic and Social Council. The focus of this ILC is to have the path of a peaceful unification for Korea Peninsula. That is the main theme of our session today. We are looking for the role of the business and economic sector task. Today we have 6 distinguished guests, business representatives from Chile, Paraguay, and the United States. And I will be introducing each of one at the time they take the panel. At the end, we will have a question and answer period. So please, if you have any remark, put in the chat area that and to get your questions. Additionally, I would like to inform everybody that we have simultaneous translation. It will be done in Spanish, English, French, and Portuguese. So with all of this said, please let me introduce our first guest, and he will do the welcoming remarks. The first guest is Reverend Sansu Kim, and he is the main representative from Central America and Caribbean region. He is the leader for the UPF. Reverend Kim graduated from the Theological University at the Unification Seminar in the USA. Since that time, he has been held a numerous leadership positions within the Family Federation through all Central and South America, including Paraguay, Costa Rica, and the Pantanal region. With all this said, please join me to welcome him with a warm applause. And panel is yours, Reverend Kim. Welcome.
Gracias. Honorables señores, señoras, participantes vía web, gracias por sacar tiempo para participar en esta conferencia auspiciada por la Asociación Internacional para la Paz y el Desarrollo Económico. Agradezco a tan distinguido grupo de panelistas, la señora Perdigo del Chile, al doctor Díaz del Paraguay, el señor Joselin de Canadá, el doctor James, fundador del proyecto CUA, al doctor Hakim, presidente de la UPF en Nicaragua, el doctor McDavid, presidente del periódico The Washington Times y de la Fundación Global Hoyon Magnolia, que lidera este grupo en forma significativa e importante. En su posición de coordinador internacional, además, al moderador de esta sesión, el señor Víctor Castillo, México. Sinceramente aprecio el hecho de que apoyen esta sesión con el tema contribuciones del sector empresarial y económico en la búsqueda de la paz y el desarrollo en la península coreana. Paz que añoramos llegue pronto, que permita terminar con 70 años de mal entendidos, división familiar, enemistad innecesaria y sin sentido, y que bajo el principio de vida practicado por los fundadores de la UPF, el doctor y la doctora Moon, vivir por el bien de los demás. El desarrollo que en un extremo es de abundancia y en el otro de carencia, llegue para todos y en mismo grado. Que su sabiduría y conocimientos que compartirán hoy genere buenas ideas y aportes positivos que se puedan ofrecer como soporte a la unificación pacífica de la península coreana. Sin más adelante y éxitos. Y esta plataforma es de ustedes. Gracias y bendiciones.
Gracias. Please give him a welcome remark, round of applause. And as he say, we expect this panel could give us good insights and good thoughts to solve this peninsula of Korea, solving the problem and issues that currently has. Secondly, please join me to welcome Mr. Thomas McDavid. He's a chair of the Washington Times and the company board of directors. He has been with the news media company since 1994. Apart from serving as a senior vice president of marketing and communication at the Points of Life Foundation, launched by former President George H.W. Bush. In 2019, Dr. Ha-Jahan Moon appointed him as a chairman of H.J. Magnolia U.S. Holdings, a corporate group including the New Yorker Hotel, Manhattan Center, Product Studio, Ocean Peace Fishing Company, and the Washington Times. Mr. McDavid also serves as the global coordinator of IMAP and IAED, both the new global projects of UPF International. Early this year, Tom launched the Washington Times Global Media Group and published the English and Spanish language version of Dr. Moon's Memories, Mother of Peace. Please join me to welcome him with a big round of applause. Welcome, Tom. The panel is yours.
Thank you so very much, Victor. It's great to see you and all of our guests today, and welcome to all of our audience. Thanks to Dr. Jenkins and Reverend Kim and all of the organizers. This program is part of a 3-day set of programs. Similar things are going on in Asia, Europe, and Africa. So you've got hundreds of speakers all around the world over these 3 days, focusing from different facets on the issue of unifying Korea. It's a special honor, especially to be with such a distinguished panel of business and economic experts from the Americas. And only sorry we can't be together for lunch after this panel and face to face. I'd like to explain a little bit more about the strategy of the International Association for Peace and Economic Development related to the big picture of the Korean Peninsula and the bigger global picture of improving the quality of life for all people and bringing about a world based on interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universal values. The IAED program was launched in February of 2020 in Seoul, Korea, when we held the World Summit 2020, and we gathered some 6,000 professionals from all different sectors. And with the behest of Dr. Hak Jae Moon, really with a heart of a mother to care for the various areas of the world, she asked that we launch this project together with parliamentarians, academics, religious leaders, cultural leaders, etc. And so that's what took place. The IAED conference featured such global figures as Jim Rogers, the noted entrepreneur and investor out of Singapore, very well known in Asia. Neil Bush, our good friend, who's the son of George H.W. Bush, very active in Asia, along with Dr. Bill Imeke, who's a premier scholar on social value investing out of Columbia, and dozens of other scholars, thought leaders, corporate executives, etc. And we had a 3-day conference. And out of that, did a resolution. I want to just mention one sentence out of that kind of tells the sense of mission or purpose, that we affirm the belief that business leaders have the opportunity and responsibility to work in collaboration with other sectors of society to make the world a better place, addressing its most significant challenges in promoting world peace, long-term mutual prosperity, and truly sustainable development. We're now zeroing in on this critical area of Asia, the Asia Pacific, especially the Korean Peninsula. And in terms of what we do, the program's been going on for a year. We really want to encourage each of you to look into it and be involved in your local community, your own country. But there's 3 things that we do based on those principles that I mentioned. And that is the belief that business can be a force for good. We seek to build a network of business, government, and economic thought leaders who want to drive economic development towards a global environment of interdependence and mutual prosperity. 3 things. Number 1, dealing with thought leadership and professional development, just like this seminar and dozens of others like it. We want to provide access to leading edge people in the business world, in education programs, sharing resources and business tools to entrepreneurs and business leaders who seek to grow and make a meaningful impact. We're especially interested in creating programs that have value-driven and that create an environment for transformation and growth. Because it's your company, your managerial ability, it all depends on what kind of person you are. And if you're harmonized inside and at peace and really aligned with good values, you can make a huge difference. Second is to build a global community of business leaders on the local, national, regional, and global level in the various sectors of business that can make an impact and build a community around the world. And that's what's starting to happen now with our Think Tank 2022, where we'll have working groups that will focus on such issues as the economic facet of what Korea could look like if the 38th parallel comes down. Jim Rogers at our conference always likes to say that the Korea Peninsula will be the hottest place on earth to invest once that occurs, and we believe that. And thirdly, by developing and expanding this network, we want to produce tangible on-the-ground programs, especially for disadvantaged areas, where business leaders can move beyond the typical corporate social responsibility approach of just checking off a box for the sake of public relations and really make an impact, working together with political, religious, academic, media leaders, etc. We're all over the world, 160 some countries, and we look forward to working together and really applaud all of your participation. We believe this is a special time on Earth, that the world is going through a huge transition, and it's people of goodwill like yourself that can make a lasting difference. Really appreciate the opportunity to come and share a few words, and look forward to the rest of the conference together. And with that, I want to throw it back to Victor, and may God bless all of you and keep your family safe. Thank you. Victor, back to you. Victor, you might be muted.
Well, give him a big round of applause for his.
Thank you.
As he said, Jim Rogers attended our last seminar in Korea, and Jim Rogers totally ensured that once the reunification of this peninsula comes true, Korea is going to be one of the hottest places to invest and to develop. This IAED conference intend to show the great opportunities for Asia and this particular area. Following, let me introduce Mrs. Nicole Verdugo, which Nicole Verdugo has been very influential in Chile and Latin, including several initiatives that influence all the areas she worked. And mainly, she has been empowered the woman in business world, along with having extensive experience working with the free trade agreements. Having coordinated for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Chile concerning gender and trade objectives for the 21 APEC countries. Currently, she is Executive Director of the Chamber of Women and Business in Chile. Please join me to welcome her with a round of applause. Panel is yours.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias por esta invitación. En primer lugar, quiero agradecer la invitación a la UPF y en particular al International Association of Economic Development, IAED, y por la invitación a poder participar de este extraordinario evento de seminario web internacional Leadership Conference 2021 desde la perspectiva de América y en especial para participar en esta sesión de contribución del sector empresarial y económico en la búsqueda de la paz y el desarrollo de la península de Corea. El mundo aún sufre los efectos de la crisis sanitaria más grande de la historia de la humanidad. Estamos en una segunda o tercera ola de los efectos del SARS-CoV-19, que paralelamente a las consecuencias de la crisis sanitaria ha traído efectos de la crisis económica. Ningún país estaba preparado para enfrentar las consecuencias de la pandemia. El desarrollo económico aparejado a la responsabilidad social de los países ha sido clave en cómo hemos podido enfrentar la crisis en cada uno de nuestros países. En la actividad realizada en el mes de febrero del año 2020 en Corea, en el marco de la primera reunión de la IAED, se plantearon los desafíos que tenían entonces las economías a propósito del desgaste del modelo económico y cómo enfrentar las desigualdades y las consecuencias de los modelos autoritarios que aún persisten en el mundo. La globalización ha estado enfrentada a los momentos más duros, los desafíos de poder cumplir con las expectativas de la cadena de suministro y cómo la interconexión nos ha hecho más vulnerables ante la pandemia. Es necesario enfrentar la forma como podemos seguir adelante en el futuro y qué esperamos poder reconstruir en la base de nuevos desafíos, en donde la sociedad en su conjunto, los gobiernos y las empresas puedan enfrentar el mañana con una mirada sustentable y sostenible, con compromisos en la disminución de la desigualdad y el respeto con el medio ambiente. Antes de la crisis sanitaria podemos afirmar que América Latina no estaba pasando por un buen momento. Las proyecciones para el 2020 no eran tan positivas. No existía ningún pronóstico que se le acercara a lo que ocurrió a partir del 2020 con la propagación del COVID-19. Según estudios de la CEPAL del año 2020, en el cual afirman que las consecuencias derivadas de la pandemia han modificado todas las expectativas que se tenían respecto al desarrollo de la región en corto y largo plazo. Sus efectos pueden terminar con una crisis social y económica sin precedentes, generando la mayor contracción económica desde la Gran Depresión. Previa a esta crisis, la mayoría de los países presentaban tasas de crecimiento muy bajas, balances fiscales sumamente deteriorados, altos niveles de deuda pública, y se suma a este escenario una creciente inestabilidad política y descontento social. En materia del empleo, una creciente tasa de desempleo, sumando a esto altos niveles de informalidad. Hoy nos enfrentamos a una América Latina con una creciente tasa de criminalidad, violencia y corrupción. Estos factores ponen una presión significativa a los gobiernos y pueden condicionar su capacidad de respuesta ante esta crisis. Es importante no perder de vista que a pesar de la crisis derivada de esta pandemia, será muy nociva para la región. Muchos de los factores que enfrentan su avance en esta nueva etapa son de carácter estructural y previos a la crisis del COVID-19. Este fenómeno, que pareciera estar enfrentado a América Latina en los últimos años, ha sido frecuente en otras regiones del mundo cuyas economías alcanzan un ingreso propio de países de desarrollo intermedio. Después de la pandemia, el mundo habrá cambiado, desde la norma de interacción social hasta el método de producción y la forma como vemos al mundo y a nuestros pares. Es por esto que los países deben construir con una estrategia de desarrollo coherente con un nuevo contexto mundial. Es importante que los países actúen con unidad y fuertes liderazgos, aumentando la comunicación de las autoridades con las distintas partes de la sociedad. El objetivo es que las buenas ideas, políticas e instituciones puedan sobrevivir a esta compleja crisis. El mundo nos enfrenta a un contexto complejo e incierto, pero los desafíos anteriores a la pandemia hoy no quedan al margen de las prioridades. La reflexión en torno a la globalización y las repercusiones que hoy acá podamos estar hablando de la unificación de las Coreas y cómo este tema que pareciera alejado a nuestros países es parte de los desafíos a futuro. Creemos sinceramente que la reunificación de las dos Coreas es un tema crítico para el mundo entero, porque va a ayudar en forma significativa a superar las brechas y conflictos que existen entre dos bloques ideológicos del mundo, siendo los países que siguen confinados en la democracia y que con los que son totalitarios. Confiamos que es una cuestión de tiempo para que estos dos países, unidos profundamente por su milenaria historia y cultura de más de 4.300 años, vuelvan a estar unidos como un solo país. Estamos muy agradecidos por los esfuerzos de la UPF junto con varias otras organizaciones y países que están arduamente apoyando este proceso de reunificación. En relación a la IAED, que representa el mundo de la economía y los negocios, seguramente vamos a cumplir un papel muy importante en el futuro proceso de reunificación en la península de Corea, tal como pasó con el proceso de reunificación con las dos Alemanias después de la caída del muro de Berlín. El desarrollo de la economía y levantamiento de la industria de un país nuevamente reunido es absolutamente crítico para crear una base para la estabilidad, empleo y bienestar de los ciudadanos. y además para equilibrar las desigualdades en los países hermanos recién unidos. En la IAED confiamos que podemos ser parte íntegra de este valiente y muy valioso proceso para la reunificación de Corea. Agradezco nuevamente esta invitación y muchas gracias de poder compartir con todos ustedes. Gracias.
Thank you, Ms. Nicole Verdugo. Please give him one round of applause for his marvelous exposition, which I will highlight. Yes, we have actually challenged because the actual stress of the economical model and is one of the expectations that this reunification of Korea Peninsula might bring support not only that area, but all around the world. Thank you. Thank you. Please join me to welcome now Dr. Cesar Porfirio Diaz Marceo Mereco, excuse me. He is a partner and general manager of the Cooperative Regional and general director of EAC, Paraguay. Collection and investment agencies, and also he held the position of General Director of the Universal Privada del Este. Dr. Diaz has a master in banking administration from INCAE, Alajuela, Costa Rica. And he has also a postgraduate degree at the University Didactics. He graduated from CIMEFOR, military aeronautic specializing in parachuting and piloting. Please welcome him with a round of applause. Cesar, panel is yours.
Muy buenos días, señor Víctor Castillo, Tomás David, señora Nicole Verdugo, el señor Serge Jocelyn. Agradezco de sobremanera al profesor Félix Coronel, secretario de la UPF Paraguay, por la cordial invitación. Y aprovecho también esta ocasión para felicitar de antemano al doctor Thomas Waltz, presidente de la Universal Peace Federation, por esta gran iniciativa de organizar esta gran conferencia internacional de líderes de las Américas en el formato online. El tema que nos convoca en esta sesión es: ¿qué contribuciones se puede ofrecer al sector empresarial y económico en pos de la paz y el desarrollo de la península coreana? En ese contexto, me permito abordar mi disertación que creo podría contribuir a dilucidar la interrogante arriba señalada con el siguiente tema de enfoque bien económico. Mi tema es la economía solidaria en un ámbito integracionista. Lo primero que me viene en mente son las siguientes preguntas o interrogantes. ¿Por qué de una economía solidaria en el ámbito de una integración? Por otro lado, ¿qué contribución puede dar el desarrollo de la península coreana ante las expectativas de su desarrollo económico en pos de la paz mundial? Y por último, ¿es aplicable este enfoque ante el desarrollo de una economía mercantilista global en auge, pero a la vez focalizada al capitalismo, en contraposición de la economía humanista? Nosotros sabemos de que la situación de la crisis de Alemania, en aquel entonces dividida y con el surgimiento de una Alemania reunificada, se ha iniciado antes que nada un gran proceso de integración, donde millares de familias se han reencontrado luego de 40 años de encontrarse separados. Y a partir de ahí, curiosamente, trasciende una Alemania más humanista, con profundos sentimientos de pertenencia a una sola raza, una cultura única, donde aparece una alternativa, si se quiere un poco milagrosa, que es la economía solidaria, y se da inicio al crecimiento de las grandes organizaciones cooperativas en el ámbito de la economía solidaria. Ahí aparecen las personas como protagonistas, como el foco del proceso de desarrollo económico y social en todas sus magnitudes e implicancias. Sabemos que la economía solidaria es ante todo una economía participativa, que conlleva el adecuamiento a principios y valores, donde existe una integración efectiva del talento humano de toda una nación donde el ordenamiento político y jurídico se desarrolla sobre una filosofía dando lugar al surgimiento de las pequeñas y medianas empresas de capital comunitario o cooperativo, llamado economía empresarial. Entonces, a partir de ahí sabemos que la integración va más allá de la unificación propiamente dicha. Pues esta última, la unificación, conlleva más un cambio de estructuras y procesos con enfoque más político, jurídico y, si se puede decir, geográfico, mientras que la verdadera integración se da primordialmente en un trabajo conjunto y bien coordinado, y en definitiva esto involucra a personas pensantes con objetivos y metas, y con un sentimiento compartido de dirección, de propósito, y por qué no hablar de oportunidad, adquiriendo una imagen distintiva ante la necesidad fehaciente de aunar esfuerzos para un bien común. Y vemos entonces que en este enfoque se revierte la pirámide y se da lugar al desarrollo comunitario de interés económico, social y cultural. Es ahí donde adquiere relevancia este enfoque, pues involucran principios y valores únicos de la economía solidaria o cooperativa. Y en cuanto a principios, primero debe existir un interés por la comunidad unificada e integrada que le dé realmente ese sentido social cultural sin descuidar el interés económico. Por un lado, si la economía mercantilista da prioridad al capital y a su rendimiento económico, no existe una adhesión libre y voluntaria de las personas como la economía solidaria. Y por otro lado, la economía capitalista o mercantilista que da preferencia a los negocios y a sus resultados económicos con incorporación de capital poco o nada accesible a la clase media, media alta o media baja. De ahí que, en conclusión, la verdadera integración debe estar focalizada en principios claros, donde además exista una verdadera cooperación, además de una gestión democrática, una participación económica igualitaria en un marco de autonomía e independencia. Y hablamos de integración efectiva de personas, dándose énfasis a la educación y formación cooperativa, donde existen fuertes vínculos entre los participantes que es propio de una economía solidaria o capitalista. Quiero significar que, por otro lado, existen valores cooperativos que hacen a la verdadera integración a través de la ayuda mutua, la solidaridad y, por sobre todo, en el marco de la equidad y la igualdad, orientadas todos a mejorar la calidad de vida de la sociedad en situaciones de integración, que pueden ir más allá de las diferencias propias del aislamiento. Así vemos una Alemania más integrada que reunificada, ocupando actualmente el número 1 en el ranking mundial de cooperativas, es decir, un ranking mundial de la economía solidaria. La realidad de hoy día está caracterizada por un gran desarrollo de la economía solidaria en el contexto internacional globalizado que exige escenarios que involucren el pensamiento y la praxis de las diferentes actividades que constituyen ese quehacer de los seres humanos, dando una respuesta positiva a las crisis sociales en la búsqueda del desarrollo social basado en la equidad, en la justicia y en la sostenibilidad de los individuos. Finalmente, en mi humilde opinión, esta situación comparativa, por un lado, la realidad de la Alemania reunificada e integrada en la actualidad y las posibilidades de reunificación e integración de las dos Coreas, separadas a partir de 1948, la economía solidaria y humanista propende al desarrollo sostenido de la península coreana, en caso que se den las condiciones favorables para su reunificación. Dios quiera que esto suceda en un futuro no muy lejano. Y al concluir mi disertación, me permito hacer una siguiente reflexión hecha de quien en vida fuera la tan respetada y venerable Madre Teresa de Calcuta, y dice así: yo hago lo que tú no puedes y tú haces lo que yo no puedo. Juntos podemos hacer grandes cosas. Gracias por esta oportunidad y muchas gracias. Hasta pronto.
Thanks, Dr. Cesar Diaz. Please thanks him with a round of applause for his exposition today, which I highlight to join efforts for a common benefit of economic, social, and cultural goals that includes principles and values with a social sense. Great. Thank you, Dr. Cesar Diaz. Now we open this session for Mr. Serge Jocelyn. He is Director of Business Development at Development International Desjardins. DID, which is acronym of the previous, is a part of Desjardins Group, the biggest financial cooperative network in Canada. Mr. Jocelyn has 13 years of experience in international development, mainly in financial inclusion, with a focus on financial cooperatives as a transformative tool for social economic growth. He has managed projects in financial inclusion in many developing countries with concerns about gender equality, financial, agriculture, and others. He has finally an MBA in International Management and International Finance. Please welcome him with a round of applause, and the panel is yours.
Bonjour à tous. Good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to thanks for this invitation. It's a privilege for me to be part with you for the first time, and very interesting topic since I'm hearing my other panelist colleagues. So good morning to everyone. It's very interesting to see that I'm following that Mr. from Paraguay talking about cooperatives. It could be interesting. So I can share. Seems I don't have the control of my screen. Anyway, I will do it without my presentation. As Mr. said in the beginning, DID, it's a component of Desjardins Group, which is the biggest financial cooperative network in Canada. And it's very interesting to see how the parallels between the creation of Desjardins Group in Canada and the situation in many developing and emerging countries, because that network was created 100 years ago. And exactly for the same topics, because at that time in Quebec, almost 90% of the population was living in rural area without access to any financial services. So the creation of that was for that. So today I want to share with you how through a financial cooperative approach could be useful in that process of peace and development in Korean Peninsula. We are involved for more than 50 years in all the countries, on all the continent, in emerging and developing countries, in a way to implement financial inclusion approach through financial cooperative network, in a way to create more sustainable economic empowerment in developing and emerging country, to create at the same time an individual and a collective assets. As I said, we're all around the world. Maybe now a special salutation to Mr. Dakal, which is the former Minister of Cooperatives in Nepal, that I had the chance to be many times. And also specifically in Korea, because I also had the chance to be many times in South Korea. We had a lot of collaboration with the NAKUFOC network, which is a big and important financial cooperative network in South Korea. And just for your information, NAKUFOC has visited many times Desjardins in Canada to see how we were able to implement our network here in Canada. And specifically in Asia, we have a lot of collaboration in Philippines, in Vietnam, and also in China. Our approach, we have two levels. The goal of our creation, we are an NGO, so we are not there to make profit, but to export our experience of the Desjardins Group. We have two levels of development. The first one is through technical assistance, because we have developed a huge range of specialized solutions for SME lending, for financing agriculture, for technology, for financial education. But at the same time, we deeply believe if we want to empower those financial cooperatives, we can come with some investment in their organization. So those two levels are there to work at the micro level, to work deeply with the people, the population, at the meso level with the institution, the financial cooperative network, as well as a macro level to work with the government, because we have to work at different levels if you want to contribute to change something in the community, specifically about the economical aspect. We deeply believe that we go on the field with that financial with those cooperative values, but to use them in a transformative approach for stronger financial inclusion. We deeply believe that we have to strengthen the ecosystem. First of all, to strengthen or to create financial institutions to be competitive on the market, because they will have to deal with the private sector. So if you are a strong financial cooperative, you could have an impact of that side. But at the same time, you have to strengthen the capacity of the people, because you have to empower them with more skills and expertise to be in a situation to play a role in the community. And through that transformative approach, we like to see it, when you create a financial cooperative network, as part of the ecosystem of an economy in a country, who could play a big role. As I said, in Canada, again, I want to repeat that, it was very small at the beginning. Now in Quebec, more than 100 years later, it's one of the biggest players in the economy, still under the financial cooperative values, including and merging together the social value, the human value, as well as the financial value. It's possible to do both without losing your humanitarian values and social values, who are a very strong characteristic of the cooperative approach. So we were basically to change the situation, or to contribute to educate people on the field, to take care of, to take in consideration the demand of them, and then to be able to develop the right supply in a specific environment. And we have to work at both levels, on the financial one, to offer financial services, but as well as not financial services, because our approach is to give 4 different access. Access to resources, to access to financial resources. If you want, those small entrepreneur or small individual could have access to credit. Opportunities to be able to work in the environment, to change your environment, to work with the central bank for cooperatives. And also on knowledge, and the last one, decision making, is very important to empower people to be able to make decisions. And the last one, the second level, is to investment. Yes, we are an NGO, but we were able to have access to some capital, and we want to use that capital in a way to contribute to empower those financial cooperatives. A few words about the last fund that we have created recently, in a way to have an impact, to support the economy in different countries in that post-COVID economy. We know in all the countries, more in developing and emerging countries, they will have to face big challenges about post-COVID challenges they will have to face. And it's why we have created that fund in a way to provide capital for financial cooperatives, to see how we could target financial cooperative on the world who will need that. But one very important thing, we will be willing to collaborate through investment in those institutions with a focus on the gender equality and the climate change. Those values are really important. So I don't want to go further than that, because a very specific experiment reality of Desjardins Group, and for more than 50 years through the IAED, the experience we have on all the continent, very different countries, different economy, but through financial cooperatives, we have huge success. And we deeply believe that financial cooperative could contribute through a transformation approach to build a stronger financial inclusion, and maybe it could be the path to contribute in that process on peace and development of Korean Peninsula. So thank you very much for your attention. And again, thank you so much for this invitation this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Serge Jocelyn. Please welcome and thanks him on his great presentation, which with the capital that they introduce as financial opportunities to empower disadvantaged populations, but moreover, to strengthen the abilities and skills of the people to make them a promoter of change on their communities. Great. God bless you on all your activities. Now, please join me to welcome Dr. James W. Jackson. He's a successful businessman, prize-winning author of international economic and consultant. But on his life, he has several experiences, including the childhood lessons in entrepreneurship, making millions in mountain real estate development. Even though he relinquished his wealth in order to start over, service as an international economic consultant, and later founding the international humanitarian organization, Project CURE, which is now the world's largest distributor of donate medical supplies and equipment to develop countries' healthcare facilities. Dr. Jackson worked with foreign government officials, and as he's awarded by many national and international honors, including official representing the USA at the 81st birthday celebration of great leader Kim Il-sung in Pyongyang, North Korea. Please welcome him with a round of applause, and the panel is yours, Doctor.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And it's a privilege to be here with you. Thanks for inviting me. The last time I shared on this webinar, I emphasized the importance of building strong relationships with the people on the peninsula. I took a little time then to relate some stories about my experiences in traveling around DPRK. In fact, the background you see this today is one of the great educational building right in Pyongyang. And so welcome. I have many, many stories and had lots of friends in that restricted community. But today, I need to zero in for a few minutes that I have and deal specifically with the ideas relating to the feasibility of reunification, the shared values, and the economics. And in the midst of all of our excitement and euphoria about the possibilities of peace and economic development in DPRK, someone needs to ask the hard questions if we're really going to ultimately be successful in our efforts. In the nearly 150 countries where I am trying to determine where we're going to invest millions of dollars worth of donated medical supplies and pieces of equipment, it's necessary that I also subject myself to those hard questions. So here's hard question number one. In all honesty, why are you even interested in pursuing reunification on the Korean Peninsula? In order to be effective in problem solving, you really need to be able to clearly articulate that. What would you hope the result would look like when the effort is finished? Would you hope that North Korea would end up looking like South Korea, or South Korea would end up looking like North Korea? I was in Pyongyang in 1993 when great leader Kim Il-sung presented his 10 principles of reunification. In fact, he sent an ambassador to the guest house where I was in Pyongyang, and with a translated copy of those 10 principles, and asked for my reaction. I have those principles and my handwritten notes right here with me today, so I'm familiar with it. But it's stated in principle number 1 in those 10 principles of reunification. It's stated that the two existing systems would stay exactly the same as they are. And over the past nearly 30 years of attempts, the two systems are exactly the way they were in 1993. Neither one wants to change. Now, I have a very bright son who is a PhD in economics and also is an attorney, and he likes to throw this little riddle around. How many psychologists does it take to change a light bulb? Let me repeat that. How many psychologists does it take to change a light bulb? Well, the answer is one psychologist, but the light bulb must want to be changed. Hard question number 2. What specific plan could be put into place that would guarantee peaceful existence and successful development? Well, which set of laws would be followed? Who would settle disputes regarding common ownership and mutual access to assets and rights? Well, principle number 3 in Great Leader Kim's 10 principles says that neither side can encroach upon the other. Well, how does that work? Except for the way it's working right now at the 38th parallel. He states that ideas of prevailing over communism are not absolutely not allowed. Well, no one has come up with an agreed upon constitution or statement of governance and law. And history proves that it just won't work like that in reality. It's necessary to remember that it is the economic philosophy that determines politics, not the other way around. Hard question number 3. Who is going to work with and gain the confidence enough with each side long enough to suggest that in a successful economic situation, you must produce more than you consume? That's basic economics. DPRK has not produced over the years more than it consumes. It has always depended on subsidies. DPRK's gross national product per capita is only $918 per year. South Korea's GNP, for example, is nearly 12,000. They experience over 10 times the wealth each year. Let's go back a little bit. Russia's Joseph Stalin and China's Mao Zedong made an interesting economic decision following World War II and the Korean War. They were fearful that the USA and their allies would certainly attack them at the southeast border where they joined with DRPK. Yeah. Instead of Russia and China deploying their armies to protect their back door, they decided to use North Korea to act as their military guards. They would subsidize Great Leader Kim Il-sung. That would be a cheaper alternative. Well, that worked until 1991, when the Soviet system collapsed and China's economy had fallen behind on their loans and payments. And during that period of time, DPRK had been subsidized and did not need to rely on production. Those subsidies and those guarantees had given rise to the implementation of the Juche ideology. Simply put, Juche is an economic political philosophy of absolute independence and self-reliance. We pulled ourselves up by our own bootstraps, and we need nothing else to guarantee our superior ideology. But the financial independence had been woefully based on the addiction to subsidies and not individual production. And in 1991, however, those expected subsidies dried up. North Korea was faced with a very fragile situation. They had to go begging, but at the same time, keep up the front that they needed nothing. Thanks to Juche, Iran saw the opportunity, and in March 1993, they gave DPRK $500 million to develop and deliver not only designs, but nuclear plants, missiles, and other weapons for themselves and other non-aligned nuclear countries. But the truth is, those sales have not really produced that much real income for DPRK. North Korea withdrew from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty March 12, 1993. Somehow, DPRK needs to wrestle with the concept that wealth is income and income comes from production. Either that, or they'll be relegated to begging from their neighbors and from the United Nations. Some consideration must be given to the economic concepts that a successful operation of a society just might include a pursuit of self-interest, competition, private property, a rule of law, freedom, respect for human rights, and a constitutional democracy. I suppose the top line and most important word in a successful economy is people. People must benefit and not just be manipulated or controlled. People must become better off. And voluntary exchange seems to be a key to a successful economic philosophy. Well, those are enough of the hard questions to start with. How's that? Let's move on to what I consider to be the very real and exciting possibilities regarding the reunification of the Korean Peninsula from an economic perspective. On one of my trips, I've been there 8 times. On one of my trips to Pyongyang, DPRK, I was informed on Friday night at 6 o'clock, I would be hosted at the dinner, the ambassador at large, Choi Yoo-jin, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Han Sang-ryal, and Oh Hyung-soo, head of the economic promotion. I thoroughly enjoyed the opportunity to dialogue and get better acquainted personally. The conversations took some interesting twists and ended up lasting for 4 hours. The ambassador finally looked at me and said, "Mr. James Jackson, you are our friend. I'm going to show you something that others have not seen. One day, DPRK will be very strong and very wealthy trading nation." He instructed an aide to go fetch a number of rolled up maps and charts which they unrolled and spread out on the tables. Rasensangbong will one day be the next Hong Kong. He pointed to the map where China and Russia and DPRK all come together. This will make DPRK very powerful. Then his finger slid up north on the map. Here is Vladivostok in Russia. It's a good and busy port, but it freezes solid in the winter. But Rasensangbong receives the warm water streams and never freezes. Then pointing back to DPRK borders, he said, "We have all the free trade area here where other national traders can come and can have value added procedures done to their products with no penalty. We have over 20 million workers in DPRK who can not only work in the free trade area, but also manufacture and ship even better than the busy Hong Kong." Well, the excited conversation ended with the ambassador and the Minister of Foreign Affairs personally walking me all the way to my car from the banquet hall. The ambassador held my hand, and as we reached the car, he said, "I want you to return to Pyongyang, and we will work on this special project together. We will develop a new Hong Kong." Well, if that worked correctly, either that project or another could be used and leveraged as a joint venture between North Korea and South Korea, giving an example of working together successfully and setting up a working model that could be multiplied into comfortable situations of productive economics for everyone.
Dr. James, I feel mute your presentation. I don't know if the audience still attending or.
I think his computer froze.
Okay, so please, thanks, Dr. James, his participation. Unfortunately, he stopped somehow the presentation, but the great information he was showing us. And I want to emphasize the line. I suppose the top line of most important word in a successful economic is people. People must benefit and not just be manipulated and controlled. Great sentence. Thank you, Thank you to Dr. James W. Jackson. So now finally, we have the last panelist of today's session. And please join me to welcome Honorable Dr. Agustin Yarkin Anaya. He's a lawyer, Comptroller General of the Republic of Nicaragua from 1995 to 2000. He was congressman, municipalism, business, and at the University of Nicaragua. Please welcome him with a round of applause. And Dr. Agustin, the panel is yours.
Muchas gracias. Buenos días. Saludos a todos los panelistas, a los directivos de la UPF y a las personas que nos están regalando esa audiencia. Son casi 48,000 personas coreanas del sur que han solicitado reuniones con sus familiares en Corea del Norte. La última reunión presencial de la familia separada fue en agosto del 2018. Este cruel legado de la Guerra Fría urge más diligencia y efectividad para superar el drama humano de un pueblo noble y laborioso, con un pasado común llamado jugar un rol más protagónico en el desarrollo integral sostenible del mundo. La península coreana está en un punto geopolítico estratégico limitando con China, Rusia, Japón, e incluso esta estratégica posición es también está vinculada a ella Estados Unidos, evidenciándose en la historia reciente que la división de la península es causa de confrontación y conflicto entre las potencias mundiales. Pero además, un tercer aspecto, como lo ha afirmado el reverendo Sun Myung Moon, y cito lo que él señala en su libro biográfico, la península de Corea es el lugar donde la cultura occidental se encuentra con la oriental y a la vez el lugar donde la civilización continental se encuentra con la oceánica, estando en el inicio de una nueva civilización, la civilización pan-pacífica, que con Corea en su centro se va a convertir en la protagonista de una nueva historia, estando cercano el tiempo en que la civilización occidental y la oriental se fusionen en la península de Corea. Por estas tres razones, por la reunificación de un pueblo con la misma cultura, lengua e historia. Segundo, por ser indispensable a la paz mundial. Y tercero, por el desarrollo integral y sostenible mundial, la reunificación de la península de Corea es primordial para el pueblo de Corea, para la paz mundial, pero también para resolver los complejos desafíos que en la actualidad enfrentamos la humanidad. La experiencia evidencia que para superar los escollos de la reunificación de Corea es apropiada la política de sol radiante que acoge el presidente surcoreano Moon Jae-in, quien a inicios de este año reiteró su disposición de reunirse con representantes norcoreanos nuevamente, donde y cuando sea, dice el presidente Jae-in, para reavivar lazos, el proceso de desarme y lograr una gran transición en el estancado proceso de paz y desnuclearización, y que el impulso clave para este proceso de paz es el diálogo. También la experiencia y el sano juicio orientan que el conflicto debe resolverse por los hermanos coreanos y los otros países, grandes potencias, deben colaborar, pues también van a tener importantes beneficios. Asimismo, y aprovechando esta conferencia internacional de liderazgo, destacamos las sugerencias que en las sesiones pasadas de ayer y antes de ayer, parlamentarios, religiosos, jefes de gobierno, primeras damas, medios de comunicación, académicos y posteriormente el arte y la cultura, que a quienes se une las empresas y los negocios que pueden dar aportes para realizar la unificación coreana. Para ello, modestamente sugerimos recabar experiencias del complejo industrial de Kaesong y de la misma UPF, de los emprendimientos que han desarrollado el padre y la madre Moon en Corea del Norte en este campo, porque materias primas sin explotar, zinc, magnesio, oro, cobre, bronce, acero, en fin, cientos de minas repartidas por toda Corea del Norte. Pero también el turismo, la construcción, el desarrollo inmobiliario e infraestructuras para carreteras, trenes, aeropuertos, etcétera, son áreas para desarrollar con ese enfoque de economía solidaria y humanista que nos señala el doctor César Díaz para la mejor calidad de vida en Corea del Norte y avanzar la unificación. Y finalmente, como nos enseña el padre y la madre Moon, con fe, aumentemos la oración para que se realice este noble propósito. Muchas gracias. Saludes a todos.
Thank you very much, Dr. Agustin. Great apportation to this ending session of this panel. I don't have any additional remarks on your great presentation, just to reemphasize the importance of your political position of this peninsula, as this confluent many things, as you mentioned, even not only continental and oceanic, but moreover, the big tradition of Korea Peninsula. So I believe we thanks everybody who attend today this session. We thanks profound to all panelists, which give us a great insights about this reunification of the peninsula. And as the only last thing I would like to share to all of you is a call to action. Maybe everybody knows that IAED in North America is holding twice a month this type of webinars. So you are very welcome to join to this next seminar on the 20th of May with the program Public-Private Partnerships, the Business of Telehealth. And it's gonna be conducted who has been called the good father of telemedicine. I hope you can be able to join our next activities. And if you are interested, you can find the link on the chat box. With all of this said, I just want to close this beautiful session. All the questions you have made, be sure that we will be in touch with the panelists and each of you, and will be answered shortly. Thank you to all of you, and I will be pleased if you join me to make a big round of applause for all the panelists. And thank you this entrepreneur of the UPF to gather this type of webinars for a well understanding of the peninsula situation. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you in the next two sessions. That is going to be great as well. Don't forget that today we have the closing of these 3 days, and you are all welcome to join. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Gracias.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Gracias.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Thank you.
Yo le mandé a usted
Viva Chile. Viva Paraguay. Todos. Thank you.
Gracias a todos.
He sent me another picture.
Thank you,
Dr. Diaz, Dr.
Dr.
Jackson, Dr.
Thank you,
Anaya.
Dr. Hakim.
Excellent.
Gracias.